To ask the Minister for Social Protection if you consider allowing persons in receipt of disability allowance or blind pension to remain part of the free travel scheme if they return to employment, and if you will make a statement on the matter. Actually, carers allowance and invalidity pension shouldn't have been, it's a mistake, an oversight of mine, they shouldn't have been included in the question.
The free travel scheme provides free travel on the main public and private transport services for those eligible under the scheme. There are over 1 million customers with direct eligibility, and this increases to 1.75 million customers when spouses and companions are included. The estimated expenditure on free travel in 2023 is €95 million. Since 2027, people moving from certain long-term disability schemes are able to retain their free travel entitlement for a further period of 5 years, provided they previously had an entitlement to free travel. People moving from blind pension to employment do not lose their entitlement to a free travel pass, and as such retain the pass on an ongoing basis. As part of Budget 2024, I was particularly pleased to announce the expansion of my department's free travel pass to support people who are medically certified as unable to drive. There will be no requirement that a person must be in receipt of a social welfare payment in order to qualify for a free travel pass on these medical grounds, provided the other qualifying criteria are met. The measure could benefit people who return to work and who would otherwise lose their free travel entitlement after 5 years. If they are deemed medically unfit to drive for a period of 1 year or longer, they may qualify for the medical grounds free travel pass. The implementation date for the measure is July 2024, and this will allow my department to develop a new administrative process, engage with outside agencies and transport providers, and to make the necessary IT updates. And I hope this clarifies the matter.
I suppose the reason I put this question down is that we have a very poor rate of employment for disabled people in this country. There's probably only half, if you're disabled, only half as likely to be employed as those who, without a disability, who are of working age. I think the average employment rate among disabled people in Europe is 51%. In Ireland, it's only 32.6%. We're joint worst with Greece, but Greece has a very low rate of employment anyway. We have a healthy rate in this country, so it makes us actually worse in that case, in that the employment gap is greater. And a lot of disabled people that come in front of the Disability Committee state that secondary benefits are one of the reasons. There's many reasons, right, that disabled people are not working, but one of the reasons is the fear of loss of secondary benefits. Medical cards is a big one. I know that's outside your department, but the other one is the free travel pass. And I know they can keep it for 5 years, but taking the cost of disability into account, I'm just wondering, could it be extended for longer, even maybe based on earnings? Because again, if they lose their free travel pass after 5 years, and many disabled people may not be earning huge amounts of money. Unfortunately, a lot of the work is part-time in nature. That they keep it for longer, because it's going to add an extra cost to them.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I suppose it's Ireland is behind the EU average for employment rates for people with disabilities, and I have worked to enhance support that we have in my department, whether it's the employability programme, the reasonable accommodation fund, the workability or the wage subsidy scheme for people with disabilities. And can I just say, I was delighted to bring this in this budget. There hadn't been any changes in the department's free travel pass scheme for a long number of years. So what I got was approval to extend the free travel pass to people who are medically unfit to drive. And that means they'll get the free travel pass regardless of whether they're in receipt of a social welfare payment or not. So that means people who have a disability and they can't drive to work, that they will qualify for, where they can't have a licence to drive, or they're certified as medically unfit to drive, that they will get the free travel pass. And that will help a good number of people that have disabilities. That will help them have access to their workplace.
I suppose the whole focus is to get away from the fact that disabled people sometimes look at returning to employment. They're going to be better off staying on disability payment because of the additional benefits that they get. So it's to make as many changes as possible to encourage as many people to get back into the workforce. But when you do mention the medically unfit to drive and the free travel pass being extended to those, could you elaborate on that? Because I'm a little bit unclear as how you are deemed medically unfit to drive. Is this in any way related to primary medical cert? Is it different to it? I mean, the assessment for it, I mean, like, because that's a very stringent assessment. So I'm just wondering what the criteria would be like to be deemed medically unfit to drive, because a lot of people apply for the primary medical cert where they're not in a position to access public transport. So even a free travel pass to them wouldn't be of any benefit because there's no public transport services in their area. But it's extremely difficult to get the primary medical cert to avail of the disabled drivers and disabled passenger scheme. So I'm just wondering how stringent is the criteria to be deemed medically unfit to drive?
No, it's so. I did a lot of work with Epilepsy Ireland because I think they're probably the best example here. People who have epilepsy, they're put off the road and they can't drive. So I engaged with them on this and have been engaging with them for some time, and I met them a number of times. I know people myself who have epilepsy, and it's not easy for them because they just can't get to work because they can't drive. But if they could get access to transport, then they'd be in a lot better position to be able to have that that flexibility. So if someone loses their licence due to a seizure, it's absolutely awful. So what I want to do is. And it's not just people with epilepsy this will benefit, it will benefit anybody with a medical condition or disability that prevents them from driving. So it's very obvious that if you're put off the road for epilepsy, that's it. And there are other cases where people, maybe there's other conditions that people have that they can't drive. So it'll be up to the medics to certify that they're not fit to drive for 1 year or more. So they have to be off the road for a year, and then they have their medical assessment with their GP.
Thank you, Minister.
We can
So
do that.